Welcome, everybody. Hop on in here, everybody. Go ahead and pop your questions in the chat. Hi, Visionary. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Hey, guys, you can go ahead and pop your questions in the chat. Let me know what's going on. Welcome, welcome. Hello, hello. Hey, hey, hey. Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome. See what's going on out here. So, fun fact about today, I was studying up on some AI things today, and I had done all this research and I decided to go with a certain piece of technology, this certain piece of equipment. And right before I purchased it, I was like, let me research a few more things and just tips for people who are out there doing content. I think sometimes you have to balance the skill of the piece of equipment, the quality of the piece of equipment with what your specific needs are. Because I'm looking to repurpose a lot of my legacy content, and I have volumes. I have hours and hours and hours of content, and some of the like expert pieces of AI equipment that can help me repurpose my old content. It only will give you like, I feel like it's old cell phone days. It's like, oh, we'll let you have 100 minutes. It's like, what am I gonna do with 100 minutes? Like, one of my videos is like 300 minutes long. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, oh, just pay all this money and have actually no access? You know how back in the day you used to have like cell phone minutes and it was never unlimited, and you'd have to like call your boo like after 9 or 10 p.m. and talk for that like 1 hour before you go to bed. It was giving like old school vibes in the worst way. So yeah. So I had ended up not getting that one, and I did a little bit more research and I found one that gave me like, instead of only getting 100 minutes per month, I could get like 1800 minutes per month for, double the price. So I was like, I think I'm gonna get that one. So I was about to punch the button and buy it, but then, I decided to just go live for a minute. Oh yeah, free nights and weekends. You guys, somebody's old enough, y'all. Somebody's grown enough up in this chat. Yo, shout out the people who know about nights and weekends. Them young folks don't know about that. Shout out to people who know about pagers. Oh my gosh. Y'all remember back when like pagers were like the thing and only the not so nice people had pagers, people that were into criminal things had pagers, and then not that far afterwards, it was everybody could get a pager and it was a normal thing. And then remember cell phones were all like, you could have your night and weekend minutes and your like after 9 and your Fab 5 and all those things. Oh, young people don't know what we went through. They don't even know. We had to talk to people. We had to be engaged with people. To like text somebody was not what was up. We had to like actually ring their phone, go through their whole family. I mean, which honestly bring me back to the old days in some respects. I didn't like the fact that minutes were kind of weird. I didn't like that you didn't have full access to minutes, but I really did like that people had to call you. They had to meet your family. Come on, y'all, shout it out if you like those old school vibes. If like there's something about that somebody you don't know who's calling, they ring the phone and you're like, oh, who's that? Or you pick up the phone and you're thinking it's gonna be one person and you're totally surprised. Y'all, that was everything. That was so everything. Anyways, you guys know how it goes. Welcome everybody. Go ahead, pop your questions in the chat. Yeah, I was fooling around with AI stuff today, and I was having a good time. So I was like, oh, let me go tell my peeps a little bit. So far, I got a piece of software that automatically like chops up all of your long form content. So I got like, but it took all day. But it still would have been faster than me doing it. So I took like a 2 hour segment and I fed it to the machine, and then it says, okay, I'm gonna clip it up into like small portions, and it clips it up into small portions, which I thought that's cool. But I put it in the system at 1 p.m. today, and it wasn't finished cooking until about 8 ish. Right when I posted a new video on the social media. Hi, Fabiola Gonzalez, welcome. So yeah, so it cut it up into all these little small pieces, and I'm like, oh yay! But it did take all day. But here's the good news. Here's the good news. Honestly, if I were to have hired a video editor, do you guys actually think they're going to be cutting those videos? No. No, they're not. They're not. They're just going to feed it to an AI machine and then double charge me. And then I might like the product, I might not, and I won't have any creative control. So yeah. Everybody go ahead and like the chat really quick. Be sure to subscribe. But yeah, so I was like doing all that today, and yeah, I like some of this stuff. I mean, I did like some of it. I didn't like all of the content that it cut, but I do like that. Like I could press a few buttons, and then like I went to like cleaning my house and going to the gym, and I just left. I left, at a certain point, it was still cooking, and I left the house while it was still cooking, and it cooked all day long. So what I learned is that like if I start my morning, I need to like wake up early, and during the time that everybody's having their coffee and stuff, I need to go ahead and put the video up in the little edit machine. Um, Thank you for the sub. 003. So I need to put it in the machine early in the morning, and just let it cook the whole workday. Just let it cook and cut and do all that. That one was Vizard AI. That's the one that I use for that. I'm not giving them a promo or anything. Like not like collecting money, but that was Vizard AI. So hey everybody, hey from YouTube. Welcome, welcome everybody. Be sure to subscribe. Oh, I see you guys. Victory Life Podcast 7603. Hop on over here to YouTube. But yeah, so I put it in there, and it's been kind of a time trying to decide, because like there's a bunch of different machines that do that stuff, and I have to make sure that like you can do research and you can find which one is like the state of the art, the best one, which one, does zooming in and out and captions and all that. So this is like a technology chit chat. I know we're gonna get to church. If you guys have questions, we'll definitely get to church stuff. But definitely, I wanted to give you guys little updates, because I know some of y'all are like brand new at some of this. What I will say is that I feel like AI has made it easier for people to get into content creation. Because when I started years ago doing this, I had to learn how to manually do video edits. I had to manually set up cameras. I had to manually do lighting, manually do everything. And now I feel like they have systems now where you can click a button and it'll clean up your audio. But people who've been with me from day one, they remember when I've messed up audio, and I was like, I got off the podcast and then I got on and did technology chat, and I was like, oh man, my audio is messed up and I got to figure that out and blah blah blah. It was a complicated thing to figure that stuff out. And some of the like experts. So here's something that I learned along the way. You guys will love this. So I had done research in the very, 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 very beginning of podcasting. I had done research. And one of the things they said that's a tip for like best impact in terms of like audio and video is they first said you should level up your sound first and then figure out the video, because they said basically people will tune out if your audio is all messed up. They'll just tune out. So best to get your audio clean and then worry about your picture being okay, and the picture could be kind of fuzzy and people don't care. But if your audio is really messed up, they'll just tune out and they'll scroll to the next thing. So they showed like in Hollywood, and I don't know if you guys know this because this was new to me when I learned it. They showed in Hollywood, you know how they have that little thing that goes clip whenever they get ready to do a scene? They'll say, cut, and they have that little thing that opens and closes. Well, there's a reason for that thing. And you guys, let me blow your mind really quick, because maybe y'all already know this and I was new to it. But when they do that cut thing for like Hollywood when they're doing movies, it's because audio and video are not together. So like you know how we get on the phone and we call someone or we FaceTime someone, do 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 do. You know how we FaceTime somebody and when we're FaceTiming, we're talking, they see us and they hear us exactly at the same time because the audio and video are all bound into one, so to speak. Well, what we saw in Hollywood when they do the little cut thing, actually audio and video is never put together like that. That's not how it works. They have separate cameras. They may have an angle here, an angle there, an angle here. You know, they've got all these different cameras and they're cutting the video and then the audio is actually run separately to a different machine. And so once they have the audio to a different machine, A, they have regular audio, B, they have backup audio in case something goes wrong. But then they've got to merge all of the sound with all of the video. That's actually what's happening. And when they do that cut thing, basically that is to match sound to the scene, sound to the video. So for me, what I learned is if I did it the same correct way, separate audio from video, which you don't need to do if you just use your cell phone. But if you're using like major DSLR cameras and using like mixers and audio things and big mics and all that, then you may have that where you got the stuff separate. Then at the end, when you're doing your video editing, you have to put it all, merge it all back together. So when you're merging it back together, you're visually looking for a cue that helps you to understand when you're mouthing words how to make the sound go with the right mouth movement. And so that cut thing is actually how you merge. That's why they do that in Hollywood. Bet y'all didn't know that. Things I learned along the way. So, at some point, I'm going to open my technology channel just to tell y'all these things, talk just technology, because some people don't want to talk churchy, but they like the techie stuff. So, I'll open a separate thing for them at some point. But I'm still navigating some of this, and like part of me wants to bring y'all into it with me as I'm doing it, but it takes so much time. Like every time you think I'm gonna do this real quick, and I could be talking to everybody, but it would just take too long, and you guys would get aggravated. So it's almost better that I just kind of did what I did, and I come and talk about it. So yeah, similarly, so when we're doing it and we're doing it at home, a home video that's separate from audio and video when it's separate, we should do a similar thing. And obviously, we're not going to have Hollywood's fancy schmancy little thing. But all you basically have to do is in the beginning of your video when you're speaking and you know you're going to have to merge the audio later, you just clap. That's what you do. If you clap at the beginning of your video, that's basically the same thing as your Hollywood thing. And so when you're later merging it and you see that clap, you're timing the sound of the clap to the hand motion of the video clapping. And when you get that merged at the same time, then you know your audio is correct throughout the entire video. So you're just trying to merge that one part where you hear the clap and you see yourself clapping. So if I ever separate my audio in the future from my video, you may hear me, somebody's gonna pick up on this one day. In the beginning of the video, when you think, oh, nobody's here yet, you're gonna go ahead and say, and then you're gonna talk. Some people are gonna catch on that you did that, and other people are not. You may do it kind of casually and just be like, welcome everybody. You know, you might do it like that so that no one really knows. You might just put it with your conversation. But if you ever see somebody do that in the beginning of their video, there's a very good chance that their audio and video are separate and they're doing that physical signal in order to merge stuff later. And it's hard to remember to do all that when you're live and you're trying to like talk through some things. And that's why you have people who are the producers who are like in your ear saying, hey, clap, hey, this, hey, that. You know, that's the benefit of having someone move the technology along with you so that you can focus on talking and someone else can focus on camera A, camera B, camera C. Does that make sense? Anyway, that's my like technology scoop. Let me know if you guys have questions. I actually know a lot of technology now. Like that's y'all think I know Bible. Lord, I learned some technology along the way. I learned some technology. Let me get some of y'all's little comments in here because you guys in here just jamming today, jamming at midnight. Let me see what you guys are talking about. Yes, I know a lot about live streaming, but I promise you, there the lessons learned, it was like ups and downs. People that went through it with me know, they know I went through the ups and downs, because no matter how much I learned, like theoretically, when I got ready to go live, there was always pearls of wisdom along the way of, oh, you know, from testing sound and things. Like, I gotta show you the video. I gotta show you the video of something silly that I did, because I already know there is like, you have to be like prepared with your, basically your workflow when you're doing podcasting. It looks very like natural and flowy, but it actually isn't. It's actually, you have a step by step by step of things you have to do before you press the live button. And a lot of it is system checks to make sure the system is tested, it's working, that you can hear sound out of the right pieces of equipment. And one thing that I learned is that, for me, I've had to do something interesting to rig sound. So I have like a formal mixer that all the sound that comes in from my computer, from the music, from my mics, all of that, the music, all the sound, music or mic goes into this mixer. And then all the music and sound is collected there. And then I can feed it out, and I can feed it out into multiple places. So if I want that mixer sound to come out on a television, I can take a separate cord and run that to a television. I can run that sound to a camera. I can run that sound to a streaming box and stream it out. I can run that sound in multiple different places. And because I have that setup where I have multiple pieces of sound coming in and then fed to one main source, what's weird about it is you can test your equipment and mess something up on the test if you're not checking the right location. So one time I had a guest over who came from out of freaking town by like an hour and a half, and I did the sound check. I did all that, but I did my sound check and it wasn't out of the main source. I sound checked out of a camera, which was a secondary source, and I should have sound checked out of where all the sound streams from. I should have sound checked out of the very last. Put it this way, sound can flow from a starting point to an ending point. I didn't check the sound that's coming at the starting point. You don't have to check the starting point for sound. You need to check the final place where sound lives. So you might have, I have like three different places where sound goes: the starting point, then the mixer, and then like a final point. In this case, I had a starting point, a mixer, a secondary point, and then a final point. My sound was moving to four different locations. And when you're testing, this is the important thing about testing. If you test the starting point, it doesn't verify that the sound has moved to point B, C, or the final position. So testing the first position is useful only to make sure that sound left your computer, if that makes any sense. So if you've got music that plays from your computer and you listen to sound, if you listen to position A of four positions, or position number one of four positions, if you hear sound out of the first position, that means your computer works and your computer is not dead. So it's a good check, but you don't really have to check that, because music is going to continue to flow to every point. So position one, if it's accurate, it means music is coming out of your computer. Position two is your mixer. I've checked the mixer. And then, hey, Mr. Michael. So I'm doing technology chat really quick, but you guys can still pop your questions in the chat. So then position two is the mixer. You can listen in on the mixer, but the mixer will only tell you that, okay, all the points that you are trying to feed music to, all of those points you can hear it from the source. That's good, but it's not going to tell you if people in the audience can hear. But it's a good check, right? So you've got your beginning check, then you may have a mixer. Then you start from the mixer, you do all the output sounds. The output sounds are going to go wherever you want it to go. Could go to a TV, it could go to a camera, it could go to a streaming box, it could go wherever you want it to go. I had my sound coming out of that mixer, and it was going to a camera and a streaming box. It was going to two different positions. So I checked the sound coming out of the camera, and I heard sound. I heard music. I tested it, and it was good. So when my guests came over, the sound checks were already done, and I thought everything was good. And we recorded the entire stream, and I had no audio, and I couldn't figure out. I was like, how did I miss this? How did I miss this? And I was like, wait a second. You have to go back and count all your places that sound is moving. Kind of like if you lose a pair of glasses or something, you gotta check, you run, double check all the positions where you may have left your glasses. So I'm like, where did that sound go? Because I heard it and I checked it and I validated that it all worked. Position A worked because it came out of the computer and it got to the mixer. Position B worked because it came out of the mixer and I could hear it out of the mixer. Position C worked because it was coming out of the camera, and that's where I validated. But I didn't validate position D, which was the final spot. Turns out the streaming box was the last position. That's the last position that everyone that's a viewer hears the sound that goes into the mixer. That's the last position. I assumed, well, it's coming out of it's in the camera and it's coming out of the camera. Surely everything else will work. Well, guess what happened? The streaming box is actually a computer. The computer had a software update. The software update required a couple of extra clicks in order for sound to be activated. And so it was a brand new thing. I had been streaming for like 3 years. I thought I had it down to a science. But the rule is the streaming box is a computer and software updates happen all the time. So there's a software update that affected the sound, and sound was no longer an auto. The computer no longer automatically received sound. It needed like 2-3 extra clicks to say I can receive sound now, even though everything's plugged in. It needed 2 or 3 extra clicks to say that, and I did not make those clicks because that was not part of my standard process. Here's where I would have validated it. If I would have done a system check at the final position of sound, I would have known that the sound failed right before delivery to the audience. I would have known right there. But instead of validating sound out of that last position, I validated sound out of the third position. So I missed it. I thought, oh, sound is coming out of the camera. We're good. But that's not the final position. So I say all that to say the lesson learned is podcasting looks natural, like a natural flow, but it's not. There's before that thing goes live, there's all of that stuff happening in the background. Not to mention when you have guests that come over and do your podcast with you. I'm like, I have my own zone that I'm in when I'm getting ready for podcasts. Like, whoever plays sports, or like for me, I'm a dancer. I do like dancing entertainment, right? So people that do sports, before your big game, you guys are in your huddle, you're in your certain zone before you get out on the field, and you have to be in that place in order to play well. People who do acting and theater, they have to be in a certain frame of mind before they go out on stage, and that's just how they get in their zone so they have a good show. Dancers are the same way. For people who do background dancing for these celebrities, they're literally whatever they need to do. Sometimes they're listening to their own music. Sometimes they're running their routine on the side. Sometimes they're just doing prayer. Some of them are just quietly sitting there. Some people are running their mouth chatting. Go behind the show of any like major stage performance, and you'll see like all the different dancers or artists are all handling the pre-show phenomena differently, which I always find so interesting. How some people are super uptight, some people are chatty, some people are stretching, some people are like running it in their head, some people are like lightly running whatever they're doing before they walk out on stage. So everybody's in this different place, and some people are just panicking. Some people are just panicking. So there's all these different kind of personalities before you go on stage. Podcasting is absolutely the same way. And there's nothing more interesting than me having my own little way about pre-show stuff. And then when like a special guest comes over, and I have to kind of adjust my flow to the guests that are over, if that makes any sense. So that's something that like, I think that's probably one of the biggest adjustments. Um, and I've had like larger groups of people come over, and I think that's probably the most difficult for me because the more people that are here when I run a podcast, it's the more everybody is playful and playing around. Like, noise, loud, playful, playing around. And I'm used to like quiet, focused time, getting the things, checking the wires, checking the sound, checking the video. I'm used to being in like work mode. And then when there's a bunch of people over, it's all like crazy in here. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? And they're in their playful, like they're there to be entertained, and I'm like focused. So it's like different kinds of energy in the same room. So yeah, I will say this. I probably wouldn't want. It's kind of complicated. It's hard to podcast if you have like a lot of little kids over. I think that's hard. I think it's hard to do that because they don't understand, and they're having fun, So then you're trying to like make sure they're having fun, but then you're also focused, and it's a little hard to be split like that, to be like in the moment with them and in the moment with getting your stuff ready. I think that's a little bit hard. I prefer to like have like people kind of a little bit focused or at least a little bit quiet while I get the checks done. Because infamously, something might be off and you have to catch it and fix it. So that's actually why I got these. Because of that situation where somebody came from out of town and my thing didn't record that time. That's when I got these. I got like these are like mini lavalier mics for separate recording. That's when I got these because I'm like I need a backup just in case. So I have a backup where I can record the audio separately from the video. I have a backup inside of the mixer that I can just press a button and then it records just the audio. And then I've got a backup with this where I can record the audio. Yeah, and that's that. And then I have the actual the regular sound that comes in through YouTube that gets recorded. But I recommend having some kind of backup. I learned that lesson the hard way. I learned that lesson the hard way, and yeah, never again. Like it never happened again. It did happen once, but it'll never happen again. But yeah, that's what's up. So yeah, I would say in general, podcasting is not for the weak. It's not for the weak. It's not for the weak. And I would say live podcasting is a completely different level of effort than just doing the pre-recorded stuff. Because pre-recorded, like you just take your time. Whatever's going on is whatever's going on. If you're new at podcasting and you're like having guests, you're probably better just to do the pre-recorded one and not try to do it live because when you're doing it live and everything's on a timer and you're trying to start exactly on time and then you have the interdependencies that other people are there and they have questions, there's some distractions, something's not working. When something's not working, you're like in a certain mode, right? And then there's little kids running around. Like that's like a whole different level of energy where you're like, I'm focused, and then there's like a lot of distractions. So I just say if you're new at it, because I podcasted live for 2 years. Now I've been doing 50-50. Sometimes I do live and sometimes I do pre-recorded stuff. But doing it live is not for the weak. That is like not for the weak. That's not for the weak. And if you're doing it live, it's easier to do it live by yourself. If you're doing it live and you've got other people bring their stuff, like their families, their distractions. If you're doing it live, it is harder. That's why it's good to have somebody produce for you if you can afford it. Like that's why it's good to have that. Because if somebody's the producer, then all you have to do is talk. All you gotta do is be pretty, show up, be handsome, show up. And then somebody else is worried about getting all the things checked and started on time. Yep. So, so yeah. Oh yeah. Edwin says we needed a tech hour. So yeah, if you guys are gonna do it, and the other thing that I will say is, don't over orchestrate your technology. Like if you have a cell phone, you can go live. That's it. Just go live with your phone, and that's it. Don't even worry about all the extra stuff. Don't if you don't if you really need a little something, then what you I would suggest is um honestly, just stay close to your phone so that you don't have to have any kind of like lavalier mic. These are good if you're getting kind of far away from the phone, but most regular like Android and iPhones, if you're close enough to it, the audio is going to be just fine. But this is for like if you're getting like a room away from the phone, or if you're like outside and it's a little bit noisier, it's going to help muffle the sound and give you more clear audio. But if you're close enough to the phone, you don't even need that. Just be close to the phone because that's free. That's free 99. And then I would say get a ring light. Get a ring light. And if you've got a ring light, I learned this when I did a commercial for work. So when you have a ring light and then you wear glasses, they were like, because, at work, I wear glasses sometimes, because, it's just nice to not have your contacts in and just be a nerd and be at work because you don't care if somebody thinks you're cute. You're just trying to not be cute. You're just trying to just be smart and be a work person. So when you have on glasses and then there's a ring light, the reflection of the glasses is going to show the ring light, the reflection of the ring light. And people don't know that until they're recorded. And then you got the glasses, you get this white thing on the glasses frame. So it's best if you have your ring light to like not wear glasses. So if you have contacts, it's a good day to wear contacts if you've got lights poured out on you so that you're not getting the like reflective imprint on the glasses while you're filming. So you'll see that a lot with people. If they have their glasses in the ring light, you can see it in the glasses. It looks kind of kooky. So yeah, don't wear your glasses. If you can wear contacts, wear your contacts. Lighting is a thing for Black people, especially. Shout out to all my Black folks. Lighting is a thing. If you don't have good lighting, then the whole thing kind of looks meh. So a $25 ring light and a regular cell phone and being close to the camera so that the audio picks up clearly is really all you need. And most people already have a cell phone. Most people are watching me right now from a cell phone. So if you're watching from a cell phone, check. If you're close enough to the phone, that's audio check. And then if you have like a ring light, a $25 ring light, that's going to give you adequate lighting. That's going to give you enough lighting so that you're not sitting in the dark. So those are the three things, like really and truly, that's all you need. If you're going to be far away from your cell phone and talking, you're going to need some kind of like lavalier mic, one of these. And my biggest pet peeve on lavalier mics is people have like the little small mini mic that's like this big and they're like in the camera doing this number with their little like lavalier mic. It's like, that's so weird. Just it's got a clip. Just clip it on you and keep it moving. You guys know what I'm saying? I'm like, why are they holding that little bitty like? It looks like a like hot dog wiener mic. Like, why are they holding that thing? It just looks kind of kooky. Just plug it on your shirt like you're supposed to. I know it stretches your shirt. You'll get over it. You'll buy another shirt. You'll be all right. You'll wash it. It'll go back. If it doesn't, you'll buy another one. You'll be okay. Clip it on and keep it moving. So yeah, that's my technology. My off the like cuff technology things is don't even bother to buy all this expensive stuff because there's a whole science to once you buy that stuff, it introduces the possibility that something can go wrong if you don't know that equipment well. And when you don't know the equipment well and you're having to already focus on getting rid of your nerves with like public speaking, that's already two things that you're like trying to manage. And especially if you don't have any help, then you're trying to manage saying something and like saying what you kind of planned on saying. And also you're managing technology, which it's very hard to manage both, especially you get a pop-up saying that something is not working right, your whole everything kind of goes sideways. So it's actually easier when you're first starting just to go live from your cell phone. So like right now I'm going live from my cell phones because I have more than one cell phone. I actually have three. I'm not live on this one. This is my raggedy cell phone. So I'm going live from my two. It's just easier to go live from your cell phones. That's like that's my advice. As you get comfortable doing it on the cell phone, then you can start to buy other stuff. But then you have to think about, do you really need it, or is it just in your head that you need it? Because you don't actually need it. Um, I think the first thing is just get content, because if you get it, then that's good right there. It's better to have this. And nowadays, if you have software to do your own video edits, then you can do your video edits yourself, or you can try to hire somebody to do your video edits. Or nowadays, now they've got AI to help do the edits faster. So like a couple of years ago, I was actually doing every single reel I edited myself. 3 days of cutting, listening, writing notes, all that. Now you got AI that'll like listen to the video and cut the video in pieces. So that's what I've been studying today, is that. And it's been fun. Actually, it's been fun. So believe it or not, now I work 5 days in my work week, plus I work the entire weekend. I work literally all 7 days. All 7 days I worked. But it's fun to learn something new, y'all. So I mean, if it's fun, you're gonna want to learn something new. But yeah, let me get to some of these questions. I got questions galore. Let's see. Let's see. But yeah, I will open a technology channel, but I've been struggling with like, when do I start bringing you guys in? I mean, I could have brought you guys in when I was doing research, but some of it's boring, and starting and stopping talking while I tell you about what I'm doing. I don't know how that will work. Then some moments I'm like, okay, so I bought something, and like today it didn't go as expected, because I thought the AI was gonna chop the videos quick, but it literally took AI 8 hours to chop the video. That's probably because my video was like 2, 3 hours long, but it chopped it the whole day. So I was like, in between waiting and then like, oh, okay, let me go do my makeup. In between waiting and checking it, I'm like, oh, okay, let me go wash some clothes. In between checking, and then I was like, oh, okay, let me go to the gym. I came back from the gym. I was like, now look now. Hey, you've been on this video all day long. You about as slow as me. But then I kind of like just clicked around, and they gave me a preview. I thought it was interesting. Like, they're not perfect, but it's definitely I like the idea that I could have something in the edit button do like working the magic there, and that I could physically be on a walk outside or at Walmart or like whatever, doing something different. I do love that, because now I could like wake up when it's breakfast time, load up my videos to be editing. Then I could start my work day, and I could just be working my regular work day as that's cooking all 8 hours long if it wants to. And then by the time I finish my work day, I turn around, I can go look. Oh man, my videos are cut. Now all I'm doing is checking them, seeing if I like it. Then I take it out, I bring it in my software, add some music if I want. Today I was lazy, I didn't even do that. I just like, I'm posting it like this. But because TikTok doesn't like the music, TikTok will copyright my stuff if I upload it with music. So I do all the extra music and stuff, then I forget. I'm like, oh man, TikTok doesn't like my music. So TikTok doesn't get all my content. That's why I always say, if you guys want to see my content, it's on YouTube. Because TikTok, I make these fancy videos, and it's got all this copyright free, music. But then when I go to upload it to TikTok, it says copyrighted. I'm like, TikTok, I paid for this. It's legit. It's mine. I own this music. But TikTok's like, no, we don't. We want you to only use our music. I don't know. It is what it is. All right. So, questions. You guys pop your questions in the chat. I was kind of just doing technology chat because a lot of people know me for churchy stuff, but I mean, I've worked in entertainment for a long time because I wasn't always like churchy girl. So I teach dance. I learned podcasting. And then I actually learned, I ended up learning makeup because I learned podcasting. So all these random things that I learned just from podcasting. So I ended up learning video editing from podcasting. So yeah, mostly because I'm randomly stingy. I'm randomly stingy. So for example, when it comes to like paying my taxes, randomly stingy. I cannot bring myself to pay someone to calculate my taxes. I do my own stuff. So, when it comes to stuff like that, I've been doing my own stuff for a while. I can't just hand it off to someone. But y'all, one of these days, I'm gonna enter like my soft era, and I'm gonna hand over everything to somebody. Y'all go ahead and pray for my future husband right now, because there are a lot of things I would like to give to my future husband, and like text time is definitely one of them. Okay. Okay, now I'm doing questions, y'all. Go ahead, pop your questions in the chat. Flood the chat with your questions. I'm going to take any of your questions. So, yeah, I do my health questions, I do the Bible questions, but you guys might actually have technology questions. And so, if it's technology about podcasting, I will take it. Outside of podcasting, no, I'm not going to talk technology. I'm going to talk about the technology that I know that I'm a specialist with. Okay. Um, Ooh, Mr. Michael, what show did you like? Because I'm trying to remember, what show did I post yesterday? I'm trying to remember. Was it was it the show on divorce? I can't remember. I'm doing so many things at one time. Like the videos that I'm upstairs editing right now. You guys don't even know what I'm dealing with, but I'm doing a video edit on like tarot cards and the occult. So my brain is in 10 different places. So I honestly don't even remember what I posted yesterday. I have no clue. Yesterday is far gone. That's in the past. But I'm glad you like the content. um, Mr. Michael says, "What's the?" Oh, this first question comes from YouTube, and then I'm gonna go to TikTok. So you guys both post, and I'm gonna answer your questions. First question comes from YouTube. What first got me into technology? Around what time? High school, college? Y'all, I did not get into technology until my BC days. Okay, BC days. I um I don't recommend it, but I had a boyfriend, and at that time I lived with him because I was not saved. I was not saved, y'all. So don't hate me, don't judge me. But I was not saved. But I got into technology when I lived with him because he was a software engineer. So I didn't try to get into technology, but living with him, and then he worked from home sometimes. I at that time worked from home sometimes, not that much. But when I was there, he often worked off hours, and I kind of would come home, he'd still be working. And when I caught him, like I just automatically, ever since I was a kid, if I was in a room, I would be absorbing things. I've always been like that because I'm the fifth kid of six kids. So that's how I learned everything. I'm just overhearing everybody's conversation and I'm learning things. Um, and then I was like growing up, I was the one black girl, usually in white schools. And what you guys probably don't know, if you're not a minority, is it's a lot of times that's how we're discriminated against, is in work and in schools. People don't teach us properly. They don't take the time to sit and teach us. They hide, they let withhold information. And so you're asking a question and they'll give you like a smidget of an answer, like, peel off the tip of the banana answer, but then there's the whole banana is the information. And they'll just be like, oh, just do this, you know? And I'm like, that's not the answer to the question that I just asked. That's very common as like a black experience. If you're black and that's happened to you, pop it in the chat if you know exactly what I'm talking about. Where you're in training and someone gives you very limited information and they want you to fail. Like they want you to not know enough so that you can't make it. So I've really always experienced that. I've always experienced that. So if it was in school, I've experienced it on in some workplaces, not all, in some limited workplaces, and definitely in school settings, I've experienced it. So it's made me a person who I plan that that's the experience, and I sit there and I'm like, okay, as I'm not asking questions, I'm trying to absorb things different ways. I'm trying to absorb the visual things. I'm trying to absorb what I hear. I'm trying to absorb when someone else asks a question and they get the thorough answer. I've been known to sit up on a call and literally, because I already know how people are, they may have a very, very good PowerPoint. Some people do these PowerPoints that are like next level and it's got like every little detail in it, which is like not the right way of doing a PowerPoint, but whatever. It is good in this case. They'll have everything in the PowerPoint, but when they're going through their talk, they'll talk very little about every slide. So you see the slide's got like 50 things on the slide, and they'll say like two sentences, next slide. So when they're doing that, what I'm actually doing, because y'all, and I do have a doctoral degree, right? So I got here even though there's all this discrimination, I still got here, and this is how I got here. Stuff like this. I would like go take a screenshot of this of the picture of the PowerPoint, like a screenshot. Like literally, I've got more than one phone. I'll take a screenshot of it. Next one, I'll take a screenshot of it. Depending on the live meeting, you might be able to take a screenshot on the computer and save it. I used to do that a lot, but now live meetings have gotten smarter, and they'll notify the host someone's taking a screenshot because they don't want you to have that. So if you're on like a client call and it's proprietary information, you can't do it. You can't do that, right? So you have to be careful because you lose your job fooling around like that. But if it's something that's internal and you're like, this is one of those people who low key is gonna not teach me, not teach me, because this is the Black experience. I can pop it in the chat if you guys know what I'm talking about. You're in training, you're in some orientation, and someone's like, oh yeah, you're assigned to a preceptor or assigned to someone, and then they are in charge of teaching you, and their plan is, I'm not going to teach them because I don't want them taking my job, or I'm not going to teach them because I don't want them to grow and get promoted, or whatever little hateful thing in their head, they decide, I'm going to not teach you properly, and they intentionally hold all this information, and they give you this much and they hold the rest. This is a common thing that happens to Black people. And this is like the low key. And I'm not like much into talking about discrimination, but I'm just talking about it as a reality and then how I've gotten through it. It's just a reality. I don't complain about it. It is what it is. I'm not going to like harp on it forever, but it's like our reality and that's how we get through it. I've taken screenshots and I listen to them and I take the screenshots. And then I go back, and then when the meeting is done, then I look at each screenshot. I zoom in and I'm looking at it. I'm looking at what they wrote, because a lot of people will do that. They'll make a very thorough PowerPoint, but when they speak it out, they say hardly anything or they say a bunch of nothing. But then you go back to the PowerPoint and that's the detail. That's how you get to know more than what they said. And they're going through it so quick. So if you don't take the screenshot, you don't have it. You might miss a couple, but you would have gotten like 90% of them. That helps a lot. So I've done a lot of stuff like that. And I listen a lot and I take a lot of notes and then I go back and I look at it later. But yeah, that's how I got through some of that. So I got into technology when my ex-boyfriend was a software engineer, and he actually would do like a lot of interviews from the house. So he like opened up his little live meeting. I would like be coming home in the kitchen, like making me something to eat or whatever, and I'm overhearing his conference calls. And that's it. Like this is like the beauty and the blessing of like if you're married properly and live with someone because you're married. This is the blessing and the beauty of being with someone and they're also a person who's successful or established, or they know something that you don't know. Maybe they're not smarter than you, but they just know something different from you. You absorb things from each other that way, and a good thing. So I listened to him do interviews for people who were trying to get hired as software engineers. And because I listened to him interview so many people, I started to be able to pick up on when someone was going to get hired, yes or no. So I knew what questions would be asked. I knew listening to how they answered if they're lying. So I even understand if they're lying, if they're faking it out. So I learned that from him, low key. I don't think I ever told him that I learned that from him. I should give him a thank you. No, I'm not. He's married. But like, yeah, but that's how I learned. So later on, when I had my own team and then I had to hire someone technical to do something for my team, I actually, even though I am a healthcare worker in corporate, like I would bring someone on that's technology related. And when I interviewed them, I actually knew what questions to ask. I actually knew if they were lying, because technology people are infamous for like trying to present themselves as if they can do a lot of things technical, but then they're like crap when it comes to doing the things technically. They actually can't do anything. So I understand the psychology of a technical person when they're good and when they're not good. And here I'll give you the tip on that. Technology people that are good, they tend to talk less. Because they're good at what they do and their personality isn't really all in it. You know what I mean? They're not all sweet and fluffy with it. They're usually technology people. You ask them a technical question They use the fewest amount of words to give you the answer. That's it. That is a good technical person. They are a technical person brain typically. So they, in their head, they solve a problem and they're done with that. That's how they think. That's how their brain is wired. They're not like people who are super chatty and are good conversationalist types. They're not that. That's a different kind of, that's a me type, right? So there are people who are good at problem solving and they are very special kind of brilliant minds. I love them, but they are different kind of thinkers. So when you ask them, tell me about how to solve this kind of problem, they're going to answer the question. If they're good at what they do, they'll answer the question, they answer to the point, and they'll answer it with the fewest amount of words. That is a strong technical person. A weak technical person will answer the question with a lot of fluff. Why is it? Because they don't know the specific thing to get that thing done. So when you say, "Hey, tell me about building a database to do 1, 2, 3, blah blah blah," they're gonna talk you 5, 10 minutes on that. When that question is simple, you do and that. That's a good technical person. They just say it and that's it. They're not overly warm and friendly because they're not built like that. That's why they chose a profession where they work on the computer, because they're not built with all that chit chat. They're not good at it and they can't fake being good at that. In general, that's in general thing. The people that are technical that grow into leadership in technical, they manage to master that technical thing, but eventually they get that talky talk thing where, like me, I'm a talky talk person. So if they can master some technical things, enough of them to be dangerous, and then they get on the in the place where they're able to communicate about it well, then those are the people that end up in the meeting doing like technical sales. And then they're in the meeting pushing the product sale because they can have the good conversation, high level about what's happening to a client to get the product sold. That's how you get people that do management over technical teams or technical sales in boardrooms. All right, so I got into it. I got into it that way by just overhearing, and then whenever I needed to hire someone for technical things, I understood based on overhearing my ex-boyfriend interview people. I started to learn how to decipher whether someone was good or not. But without, because you're not going to see till you work with them, but you can ask questions and see how do they answer it. You can just see how they answer questions. The person who is more black and white and answer it and that's it, they're good technically, but they're not good chatty. But do you need them to talk? No, you need them to solve problems. You need them to like optimize a workflow. You need them to do stuff that's like technical, which is not talking at all. So the ones who talk more, they're not it. Let them be the manager one day if they can get through the basic stuff. All right, so the next question comes from. So I got started there, but and then I taught nurses and I taught them. I did software training, so some kind of way I started that curve toward technical things then, but that was only for work and like I still didn't know how to use a remote control, if that makes any sense. I know that's a weird comparison, but I still wasn't good at stuff that I didn't study. I was only good at the things I studied. So I learned how to do podcasting technical things by praying before I opened equipment because I was like honestly a bit like I was a bit scared of that equipment. Um do 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 do. Somebody said on YouTube, before a show, I'd probably be the one hyperventilating. There's always a few people hyperventilating before a show. And then, there's always somebody who's like, I've always been the like mama of the group. So, for girls before like a performance, I'd be the one that has everything in my bag. I would like be the Girl Scout leader of the performances. So I'd have like, not a sewing thing, but I'd have like bobby pins. I'd have like weird kinds of tape. I'd have all these like whatever you think of. If somebody's costume is falling apart, they're like, "Go see Hannah." Hannah knows how to put you back together. So here we go in the bathroom. They're like, "Oh, thank you." And that, like, for some reason makes me feel so good that someone who's super hyperventilating, worried, and his costume's falling apart, if I can get them glued back together, they can have a good show. For some reason, I just feel like I get happy and excited when I see that I know they're gonna have a good show. Okay, let's take a question from TikTok because I'm behind over here. I'm behind on TikToks. Let's see what questions y'all have. My lovely TikToks. Um, let's see. Thank you for the gift, Jay Friendly. Thank you, thank you. Ba-dum. Chirp phones. Oh gosh, that reminds me of what was the name of that? Y'all put in the chat. What's the name of that company that had that stupid little chime? Do 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 do. Who did that thing? Was it Nokia? Is that a Nokia phone? Oh my god, I hated that thing. Do 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 do. That Nokia phone, let me tell you why I hated it. I still have PTSD over that Nokia phone. Because that Nokia phone, when you left the house, it would go on roaming and you'd come back with those big, massive cell phone bills because it would go roaming. You would have chatted on your phone. Some kind of way you don't know that it's roaming. I don't know. And I get these big old bills and I'd be like, what in the world? And you know, when you make money, a little bit of money you make when you're a kid, like you spend $200 on a cell phone bill, you're like, what am I going to eat? Yeah. Alrighty. So there is. Oh, I see a question in the chat, and thank you for the Thank you for the Thank you for the gift, Stoic. Thank you for being a fan. But And I see the question from GQ in the chat. I'm gonna get to that question in just a second. Visionary, so funny. You know you like somebody when you spend all your minutes on them. Oh, that's so true, y'all. Y'all, it's so true. So, that's so true. You like somebody when you spend all your minutes on them. Y'all, we used to be given all kind of signals back in the day. See, nowadays people play hard to get, right? They play super hard to get. But back in the day, you had to spend your minutes on somebody. So people used to be knowing you like them. You know, it's not just like, oh, you get the late night talk. No, no. It's because they called you before nighttime minutes. They called you on their daytime minutes. You're like, oh, I'm in. Oh my god, that's so true. Thank you for the gift, Speedy. Thank you, thank you. Um, let's see. Thank you for the gift, Keen. Thank you. I see. Thank you for the gift, Jasmine. So Jasmine says, "What do they do with all the extra audio footage?" Um, you can save it. You know, I mean, the thing is with audio, you can also repurpose it. I mean, the reality is nowadays you can take audio, then you can go to AI and you can create AI footage to match your audio. You can use the audio only to do a faceless channel. So there's a lot of things you can do with audio. In general, they're not like I would say that they weren't doing anything with it, but if one of the pieces of audio is not right, then you have backup. So you really don't have like a lot of backup audios. Usually you've got your main audio and then one backup. You usually have a lot of camera rolls. And what you're doing with a lot of camera video is you're capturing something from different angles. So if you have one camera coming here, then you might have a side view for a bit, and then all of a sudden you've got a camera that's right here up in your face. Now you got a close up. Then all of a sudden you've got a camera right here. Now you've got like a far away shot, and it's collecting the shot for a group of people or several people. So that you need the cameras because you need different angles to keep the viewer engaged. So if you're doing a scene and you're doing like, a crime scene outside, you need to catch the scene where the group is fighting. And that's going to be a wide angle. So you're going to need a camera a little bit like further away to catch the wide angle and to capture like the volume of people that are, fighting. But then you're going to need another camera that's like right up on them, so that as they're fighting, you're getting the feeling of the intensity of the closeness between two people that are bumping arms and heads and stuff. So you're getting different angles. And then you might even have drones above trying to get aerial view of like an overall what's going on as things are tumbling and falling and things are breaking and blowing up. So that's actually three different video footages right there. um, a lot of camera angles. So, the actors are having to say the same lines over and over because if you have a few camera angles and not enough, they're having to do the scene this direction, having to do the scene this direction, having to get the scene from the side and from the front and from close up and from further away. And then later on in the editing room, they're taking the same scene and it looks like a roadway. It looks like streets. So you'll have a street and then another street, another street, and another street. Each street is a different video. So this street is all the video from the side. The second street is a video that's all close up. The third street is a video that's all far away. The fourth street is the drone aerial footage. And then you're just cutting little pieces of it. I'll have to do that on my technology channel one day. I'll show y'all how I do that. Then you're just cutting pieces like, okay, I need an aerial thing in the beginning showing like, then I want to see far away to capture this big group. Then I cut, piece B. Then I'm like, then I want to see them scuffling and I want to see them close up. Then I'm going to cut a piece from the C. And, that's how all that's coming together. And then you layer on some cinematic music at the very bottom, a whole nother street with just music. And the music is going the whole time and it's going from aerial, far away, close up, side view, and all the music is playing. That's actually how it's made. Yeah. But So there's usually not a lot of audio footage. It's usually just an extra roll of footage, but there's usually a lot of extra video footage, and then they use that sometimes for bloopers, and other times they just keep it because sometimes, let's say for instance, somebody gets pregnant and they are an actress, and you've cut and you've been maybe you're like halfway through the filming and half of the filming is done and half of the filming is not done. So you might have to be like, okay, for the first half of the movie, we've got some full body shots and she's not pregnant, so that's ideal. You're probably going to include some of those full body shots in the beginning, and then toward the end, either you're going to need a body double or you're going to be doing closer up shots, so you're only getting this and you're not getting that big belly. So that's how they kind of work around some of that stuff later on. So you need different camera angles. You gotta, if you're doing just this, now it takes a lot more to keep that audience engaged. You're gonna need really close up, size, this, that, but you're gonna have to keep cutting her about right here so that you never see that belly. Does that make sense? You gotta keep cutting right here. So that's tough. That's tough because the audience is gonna, you know, funny thing is, we generally never catch on, so people are good at what they do. We never catch on. We find out after the movie's done, oh, so and so was pregnant halfway through, and if you really look closely, you see at the end of the movie. But another way around that is that people will video different scenes at different times. Like sometimes they're filming the end of a movie at the beginning of the filming schedule. Sometimes you'll see that they did the last scene first, and then they have different scenes throughout where they kind of had mixed it up. So sometimes they're not shooting it from beginning to end. Sometimes they shoot the end first and then they're shooting it out of order. But that's good. If somebody ends up pregnant, you're getting these long body shots at the end, and you're never gonna get that girl got pregnant, because in the middle maybe they're having all these close-up shots, and at the end she's still skinny. So you're never gonna ever, your brain's never gonna put together that girl got pregnant, and they're only doing the middle of the movie has these scenes where it's close up and that she's got her belly under there. So that's the beauty of that. But Thank you for the rose bus twin. Mm, 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 mm. Okay, I saw a question on how do you become an overcomer. I think that was the question. I'm gonna take that question from TikTok. You guys have your questions in the chat. How do you become an overcomer? Honestly, I would say it is remembering your identity, because that is where you have all of your victory. And that's actually where I feel like the devil comes in and he tries to discourage us by telling us something that is not true based on the new nature that we got from Jesus. So if we start off and we come from like a pretty hard life doing pretty bad things, then the devil is going to always remind you of your old nature, your old self, how you used to be, what you used to be up to. The devil's always going to say that. And he's going to use people. And sometimes he plants a thought in your mind and messes with your confidence that way. But then we have to remember that once we believe in Jesus, we have the victory in him. So if you look at the book of Revelation, Jesus already won the battle against the devil. He already won it, period. So if we are in him and he is in us, then we've already got the victory. So there's nothing that comes against us that's ever got a chance to win when we're in Jesus. There's nothing that's going to win. We will here and there go through trials, but at the end of the day, if we have our identity with Jesus, we're going to be good. So to me, that's the way you become an overcomer. And I also think that's also the way, if you um, if you kind of unravel it, that's how the devil comes against us, is when he tries to make us question our identity and the identity that God gave us. Like that is how I feel like we get tricked and distracted and messed up. Is like God will say that you were born this way, you should live this way, and that you're going to be successful because of who you are in Christ. And success is not determined by the things of this world, the temporary things of this world. Success is determined by our God in heaven, how he looks at things. And how he looks at things is he looks at the heart. And so when we think about all that, then a lot of the things where the devil's trying to shame us and condemn us for is like, wait a second, if it's a sin, well, I've already repented and God put my sins in the sea of forgetfulness. He's not reminded me of all the terrible things I used to do. I'm good now. So that's one and done. And then we think, oh man, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. Like those are thoughts that come in from the devil. That's not coming from God. All of these like thoughts about like discouraging thoughts, those intrusive thoughts don't come from God. That comes from the devil. So when we think about where did that thought come from? Who planted it? What is the source of it? As soon as we think it's something that's discouraging, bad for us, not part of God's plan for our lives, not aligning with the fact that we're made in the image and likeness of God, whenever we see all that, we know that that thought did not get planted in us from God. It came from the devil, and we just strike that thought down. So we strike it down in the name of Jesus, period. So once we know our identity is in Jesus, like basically we have a cosigner for all the things that we need to do that we struggle to do because it's too hard. As soon as we have our cosigner, maybe getting a car is too hard. Maybe we don't have the credit. Maybe we don't have the money. We get the cosigner, it becomes easy to get the car. We have a cosigner, it becomes easy to get the house. You know, it becomes easy. That's what I'm saying. So we become overcomers when we are in Jesus. There's the only way for us to come through that, okay, is to come through it with Jesus. Then it becomes easier because the burden is lighter because he's bearing part of it. We are bearing part of it because in this body we do have to, get our thoughts captive, renew our mind. In this body we have to put up barriers to like what is going to be an opportunity for us to backslide and fall. We do these things practically. We do watch the company we keep and how we spend our time and what we feed our mind. We do all that. That's part of the 25% of the lifting that we do. But then knowing that Jesus does the rest, in that he's helping us with his grace to have that discipline to fight those battles. He's helping us with his grace. but because we're not doing it all alone, nor can we take the credit for doing it all alone. And that's why you see in the world, they always want us to say like for example, I interviewed an atheist a while back, and he was very nice. And he said, I feel like you're just really a humble person. And he's like, I feel like you're not taking credit for all the good things that you do. Like, you're not taking credit for it. And I'm like, dude, I don't deserve credit for that stuff. Like, the only reason why I have any of that or have done any of that is because of God. That's the only reason. And without Him, like the Bible says, I could do nothing apart from the love of Jesus. I cannot do anything without Him. So I don't take credit for that. No, I don't. And he's like, well, I think you're just being too humble. Like, you should take credit for this and you should take credit for that. And like, what was Satan's thing? His thing was looking at himself and being so prideful, and him like wanting to be like God. And these little things, you see how it creeps up? This is like a heart thing. Do you guys see that? That God delights in when the fact that He's getting the glory and we're giving that glory back to Him. So it doesn't win us any award when we go into that like phase where we're like focusing on ourselves and focusing on what we've done and our own personal accomplishments. It doesn't do anything. It's like we have to give that glory back to God. We have to give that glory back to God every time. But Port City in the house. Welcome. Thank you for the gift. Thank you for the badge, One Nation. You guys don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Don't forget all those good things. We're doing Ask Me Anything. I was having like a little technology chat. Um, if you guys have questions, I do technology chat questions on podcasting. I do those, not general technology, but technology chat on podcast related things. Yeah, video editing, podcasting, all that good stuff. So if you guys have questions on that, you can add that. Thank you for the badge, Mike King, Boss Twin. Let's see here. Sincerely, Shawnee said, "What did I walk into?" I love it. So I was doing technology chat. Sincerely, I was doing technology chat. I was talking to people about behind the scenes what podcasting is like, because I feel like you guys see like people look pretty, good camera lighting, all this good sound. Y'all see all this stuff, but like it's a whole production behind that. It's nothing. It looks like you just rolled out of bed and started filming, but there's nothing but planning before that. Like when I podcast and I have a guest on, a lot of times, I mean, I have done unscripted conversations, intentionally did it because I wanted that vibe. But most of the time, it is scripted, meaning, not meaning like I'm telling them what to say and it's acting, not saying that, no. Scripted meaning I don't want them to be surprised out of respect for my guests. I don't want them to be surprised by a question that I ask, and I don't want to go too far into something that they don't want to discuss. So if it's something about their like marriage or relationship, I want to know what the boundaries are, like what things I don't want to touch out of respect. Because if I'm live, right? I'm live. So whatever I ask, if I ask something that goes too far, that's not cool, right? People will forgive me because I'm sweet, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to do something that's wrong. So I'll do like a lot of like pre-question, not necessarily to get the full answer, but I'll lay out, these are the questions I want to ask. Do you want to strike any of these? I'll ask, and I'll lay out if it's church related. I'll lay out like how I plan on like scrolling through the moments together. I'll lay out, I'm gonna intro, and this is like a phrase, a key phrase I'm gonna say. This is a key scripture I'm gonna bring up. This is where I'm gonna elaborate on this, and then I'm gonna ask you a question about that. And then I write down the response. I want you to go this far into it because I want to save the detail for later. So I'll tell them go this far, but don't go further than that. Give me the high level to this. Give me the high level to that. And then later on, I'm like, give me the full detail to this. You have 15 minutes, you know, and I'll give that kind of detail to keep us on track with how long they should plan to talk, how much detail they should give, because it helps to give structure to the program. So structure is important because, you know, when I don't do that and then I do like a more free flow conversation, then the podcast is going to go long, and you can lose viewers like that, because then you're like rambling at some point, you know, then viewers kind of like check out when people start rambling because you're not focusing on the meat that's interesting that they can share. And people who podcast a little aren't aware of the parts that get boring and kind of move too slow. They don't have that sense yet because they're still gaining that sense. But after you podcasted a long time and you video edited for a long time, you can see what videos do better, which ones do worse. You can look and see on a video, you can see the stats of when people were talking more and when they were talking less. So you can actually see the moments that worked well and the moments that don't hit. You can actually see that. Then you learn from that, and you learn, okay, in the conversation, what I think blew it here is we talked about this too long and this wasn't engaging the audience. This is not their topic, not the topic for this particular audience. They didn't care about that. Or we stayed on that too long. We should have stayed on that 2 minutes and not 15. We lost them right here. So you can look at the stats and use it that way to continue the engagement. But Thank you for the follow, Bearer 50 55 55. Thank you, thank you. Um, I want to catch up a little bit, and then I'm going to get back to YouTube questions. Guys, keep popping your questions in the chat. I'm taking really any question you have. Um, let's see. Okay, I'm caught up on TikTok. You guys go ahead and pop your questions in the chat if you have any. I'm going to go to YouTube and take questions now. What's my take on the subject or category of education as a whole? Western modern education versus Eastern, Middle Eastern former education. You may not like this answer. You may not like this answer. Okay, so I have like 4 degrees. So, as a person with 4 whole degrees, obviously I value education. I do value it, but I need to qualify what I mean by that. I value it, but I value it the same way I'm valuing the way I'm studying right now. Like right now, I'm no longer in school. I'm no longer in school, but have I stopped studying? The answer is no. I'm still learning something because in life we have to learn something. And for now, I'm learning AI because I don't care what job you're in. We all need to understand how AI is going to affect what we do, how it's going to help power what we do. We can't stop it, but I feel like let me figure out. The more I fool with it, the more I'm like, okay, this is going to speed me in this. This is going to speed me in that. So I'm trying to figure out how to use it to optimize anything that I'm currently doing. That's how I'm spending my time. And I've done that the whole weekend. The whole weekend, I've been like, just the more you fool with it, the more you learn. Oh, I've been wasting time on this. I can optimize this. I can make this more efficient. People who are optimizing their workflow with AI are going to be better off and have more job security than people who are not. Why? Because we're moving faster and people have everything on a timer now. So if you're moving as fast as a machine, then your job is more secure. If you're moving as fast or faster than a machine, your job is more secure. The person who's moving slower, they're being compared to the person who's moving faster because they're using AI. I like to giggle because I saw this video. I wish I'd have saved it. It's so funny. I mean, I don't recommend it because, like, I think it's such a bad look. But I was watching this kid and he had graduation ceremony, and there's a video of him. He pops up, and I don't know who's seen it. Y'all tell me, put in the chat if you've seen this one. He opens up his computer, and during the middle of the graduation ceremony, he's like sliding his fingers on the computer, and he's bringing up different screens, and he's pointing at it, and he's showing everybody like all the homework assignments he did using AI. And I was like, firstly, on part of me is like, oh my god, no. He was showing all the assignments. People were like laughing, but at the same time, like, guys, he's still graduating. He's graduating like everybody else. He probably went to sleep earlier and got plenty of rest on most nights. I mean, I certainly worked hard for mine, but I say all that to say the idea, and I ended up writing my last paper in school on this, believe it or not, because I had to evolve on the topic. I evolved on the topic initially when I saw that, obviously every college is like, don't use any AI, otherwise we're throwing you out of school. Every college will say that. And then infamously, somebody will use some kind of AI, and then they'll get caught and they'll get thrown out of school, right? So that's the state of the state today. But in the future state, I don't think it's going to be like that. And I was like, I was judging this whole AI thing with school. I was like, oh, the people who are cheating and using AI and blah, 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 blah. In my head, that's what I did. And then I decided, I was trying to come up with this research paper for one of my classes, and I was struggling with the topic. And then I was like, you know what? I think this teacher is very like black and white. I think she probably would like something on AI because I felt like the topic wasn't really getting approved properly, and I was like trying to get through like getting the approvals for the topics so that I could get the thing done. So I ended up doing a paper on AI, and I went into it thinking that AI is always bad when it comes to learning and the school experience because that's what people have trained us to believe. But then when I did the research paper, it was showing me the stats on how people were able to score better on standardized testing because of the training and questionnaires and stuff that they were getting from AI. It starts telling you how people perform better and were more versatile, how they optimize their workflows because of AI. And I started to realize, and even MCATs and LSATs, nursing school tests, all these different things, how people were able to do better because they started doing like practice exam questions and getting lessons, like getting tidbits from things from AI. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I got that wrong. And not only did I get it wrong, but in my head, I apologize, Lord. I like kind of low key judge them. Like they're not their brain is becoming. I thought their brain is becoming mush because they're not having to think as hard because AI. They're depending on it, and I feel so sorry for them because back in my day we had to just study, we had to just memorize things, we had to just learn. But that's not what's going on right now. What's going on right now is that there's a skill set that is becoming obsolete, and memorizing everything I don't think is what's going to need. That's not a skill we're going to really need, is to memorize everything. We're going to need to be able to critically think about how to prompt a system, how to allow a system to give us feedback. We're going to need to be able to critically look at that and then prompt the system again with more clarifying questions and expand on that. We're going to need to be able to prompt systems, and we're going to need to be able to not be like today. I was researching AI systems for my long form videos, and I had researched it already, and I'd come up with a video system that was good. It was supposed to be going to be a good system. I'm like, okay, great. I'm going to use this to cut all my videos. But then today I went back and I prompted AI, and I was like, tell me tell me about long form videos, tell me about this, tell me about that. And then before I bought my subscription, I went and I looked at all the specs for the subscription, and I realized they don't give me enough minutes. I'm going to end up with a good system, but I'm not going to have enough, I'm not going to have enough time to cut any videos. It's going to give me like such a short limit that I'm not going to be able to do anything with that, even if it's a great system. So then I went back, and because I saw that, I prompted AI to give me some different options. I'm like, AI, look, I have long form videos. These are 2 hour long videos. Give me a company that is similar to this company that does the same thing, but tell me someone who's able to, for a similar price, give me more minutes of work time. Who can do that? And then it spit out like four other options. And then I was like, okay, talk to me about the quality. Tell me about this. Tell me about that. Tell me about this. So I'm just prompting the machine, and the machine's going to give you, like, based on what you put in. So it's not that it's smarter than you completely yet. It is, but it isn't. It's how you prompt it. It can give you different things. So based on initial questions, it gave me an answer and a solution that would have been great for someone that was just editing some really short form content. But for me, I have a completely different need. And until I got to the subscription page, I was like, whoa, my needs aren't going to be met. I'm going to pay this money and I'm going to get this much effort out of the machine. And I need the machine to give me this much effort, even if I have to pay more money. So that's what I learned. So back to the question that came out of YouTube. The question was, what's my take on the topic of education? I think we need to be careful with education because education is useful, but it's also costly. So, education's an investment. It's not something that you do just to do, it's something that you need to be strategic about. So, for me, I have a lot of different degrees. I don't have like a lot of people would have just gotten all medical related degrees. I didn't do that. I have a nursing degree, my bachelor's in nursing. I have a business degree. I've got a master's in business. I've got a theology related, a religion degree. So I've got a master of divinity. Then I've got a doctoral degree in healthcare. So at the end of the day, I've got different degrees. So I'm not boxed in. Um, it's difficult if your end goal is like to be in a very specialized field, then you're screwed. So you got to think about that. Do you want to be in a very specialized field? If you do, you're kind of putting all your eggs in one basket, which is a way to do it, right? If you want to be specialized, you have to become an expert in one thing, and then you're putting all your eggs in that basket. If it doesn't work out for you, if you can't get employed in that area, if you cannot make money in that area because you've not figured out how to become an entrepreneur on your own in that area, or to become some kind of expert where you are selling your services in a consultative space, if you can't figure that out, then you've gone all in, you rolled all your dice into the one thing. So do I recommend that? Not for me. I mean, it's not for me, but you have to pray about it and seek God for yourself because his plans are greater than the plans you develop on your own. I think the other thing is, so I like a more versatile thing because number one, I couldn't see myself living in one little small space for my whole life. I would get bored. I would get bored. The only thing that I want to get comfortable with is a husband, husband, kids, family. I don't want to get like locked in with work things. I love to be creative. I love to be able to do different things. So I need versatility in order to stay energized. I need that. So right now, I don't even know what I'm going to do with AI, but I know I need to know it for no matter what I'm doing. So I'm going to be studying on that little bits and pieces. For now, I'm going to leave it to let's study and see how it plugs into podcasting. I'm going to leave it there for now. But as I get through that, I'm going to keep studying it to see how does my AI plug into healthcare? You know what I'm saying? I'm going to keep studying it to see how does it generally plug into optimizing general workflows. I'm already starting from podcasting to see how it can because I found an app that actually records your meetings and gives a full summary of the meeting, like, and then you just press a button and it ends up going to Slack or whatever. You can export the notes. It's crazy. Like admin work should become super quick. What that means is, are there going to be no admins? No, because what happens like when you're throwing an event and you need your admin to help set up the trays and the food and the tables and the make sure the marketing is all right. You still need someone to do all that, but they're going to be used more in the I think in the in-person physical space. I think a lot of the things that are done on the computer are going to be able to be optimized and move faster, and it's going to free people up to be in a space that's more becoming an expert in communicating is probably going to be useful. So if you can work a room, be charming and be smart and be useful and to add color and context to conversation. I think that's probably going to be what's up in the future, because whatever a machine can't do, a machine cannot build relationship and make people comfortable. So I think like business development is going to still be pretty good and safe without AI. You're going to need, is it going to be enhanced by AI? Yeah, because when you're trying to figure out who are you going to be your leads, what are you using? Your CRMs and all that. You're trying to figure out who do you talk to, but then you're still going to have to fly out and talk to people and have meetings and make deals. People don't want to make deals with a computer. They want to make a deal with a trusted person. So I think the skill set is going to be human, like, put it this way. I think even podcasting wise, I think we're about to pop off and see so much robotic, fake stuff. I think it's going to hit hard for a second. And I think people are going to want this. I think people are going to want to connect with people, like people who show up, care, talk to you. Like, I am not a robot. Do you guys know what I'm saying? Like, you guys, people are gonna want to be able to put their question in the chat, and they're gonna want to know that it's not AI me answering the question, that it's actually me answering the question, laughing and giggling, and my own personality, and me caring, and me being goofy. There, people are gonna want human to human connection. As big as this robotic stuff becomes, people are gonna want more intimacy. Because look at online dating. Look at it. Like, it's a perfect example of like AI, how it was like blew up and then like poof. Because probably 10 years ago, I did online dating. I could stomach it. I could do it. In some kind of way, y'all, it fizzled out. And I'm not saying it's not useful and it doesn't work. I mean, I'm still an advocate for it. If you got the patience for it, go for it. I had run out of patience on online dating a few years ago, and I've, even though I said when I get out of school I'm gonna do online dating, I said that, but have y'all seen me do any online dates? Nope. I can't bring myself to do it, not because I think it's a bad idea, but it's such a drain on my energy, spirit, and time. It just takes all the life out of you just to do all that. I'd rather be reading something else, anything else. So yeah. So my point on education, the question was, what's my take on the subject of education as a whole? I think education is always useful. I think it's important to, if you say that you're good at something, I think it's important to be able to prove that you really are. Prove it with examples, with fruit, and then prove it by saying, oh, these are some of my certifications that say I'm good at this. Here's my fruit. I think it's useful. But I think it's, nowadays going forward, I think it's going to be probably more useful to get certifications and maybe not as useful to have a full degree, because the reality is, how many people have 4-year degrees and master's degrees, but then practically speaking, is their work any different from the person who doesn't have one? Meh. So I think when you say, hey, I'm certified, some certified Scrum Master, I'm some certified, at Oracle, I'm certified at project management, I'm certified in as body language expert, I'm certified with artificial intelligence, I'm certified with like leadership, when you're able to say you're certified in a specialized area, that is actually the skill that's probably going to be needed in your job, more so than your full 4-year or master's degree or doctoral degree. I think those certifications are going to be useful. I think they say more about you being able to like make work actionable in a moment. That's what I think. Do I think a degree is a bad idea? No. I have 4 of them. I think it's a good idea. For me, that was an investment, I don't necessarily think it's going to be the way forward, because number one, they're so expensive. Um, I'll just say that, I got my blessing from God, and I spent it in many different ways. And one of the ways I spent my balloon volume of money that I got from Jesus was I spent one on a degree. I got my seminary degree with it, and then my other one I paid on my own. Paid as I work. But I really think that I think we need to be smart about school as if it's an investment, because it's not. When you look at student loans and you look at the repayment on student loans, it's some crazy stuff. So, for example, I went and got my last degree. I paid every month as I went. I did not get a student loan because that is some crazy stuff. Now, if I didn't have another way of doing it, if I didn't have an income, I would have just got my student loan. But I would have probably only went to school for something that I know would pretty much was a high level, gonna most likely to get me additional money. I would look at it as an investment. Um, but I have a question mark on what quote unquote degrees will get you more money. I have a question on that. I think you need to get in the door some kind of way. And so I have observed that without a 4 year degree, it can be hard to get in the door. It can be hard to get in the door, but even with 4 year degrees, it can be hard to get in the door. Um, I think knowing people is as important as knowing things. That's what I will say. And that I will stand by. It's something that when I was younger, I didn't pay nearly enough attention to. But knowing people is as important as knowing things. Knowing and having good relationships with people. I mean, when I say knowing people, I don't mean just know them. I mean, show up as the best version of yourself as you know them. So if you're going to like meet to go to a get together, a barbecue, a dinner, church, whatever it is, it could be something just very basic, a baby shower, a party. As you get to know people, make sure that if you're thinking about it, like make sure that on a daily basis you're showing up, you're consistent, and you're showing up on time and things like that. Because friendships can become business contacts if you are mingling with the right crowds. Friendships become business contacts, and the way you conducted yourself in a friendship circle, it will be remembered in a business setting. It will be. It will work against you, period. And I think people don't take that as seriously as they should. So if you're showing up with friends and you're the person who's always late to brunch, like always late by 15 minutes, if that's you, that honestly is just something, like, rather than go to school and get an extra degree, figure that out. I say figure that out fast, because that will destroy you. That will destroy you. People will not take you seriously. It will destroy you. I think that people who are trying to become entrepreneurs, but they are extraordinarily disorganized, that will sink you in entrepreneurship. If you are perpetually messy and disorganized, it will sink you. It will destroy you as an entrepreneur. That's something that rather than opening a business and quitting your job, take the time, take yourself a year to get yourself perfectly organized. Because I will tell you, I don't know everything, but here's a tip that I will tell you, and I will stand by it till the day I die. I'm not gonna say every dude I dated was rich, because I've dated some dudes that were poor too, dirt poor. But I've dated some rich dudes, rich. Okay, I've dated both. One thing I will say that every rich, super successful guy I've dated has in common, and we can mark it all the way back to every last one of them, because I've dated them all. So now I see the trend. The trend with every really rich, successful guy, dudes, listen up. The rich, successful guys are super, super clean and disciplined. Period. Their self discipline, it is next level. And it is not one dimensional self discipline. Here's a difference. Here's a difference. The guys that don't make it, the guys that don't make it are struggling with their business and all that. It comes back to self discipline. So the guys that are uniquely super good in one aspect, very self-disciplined, maybe they're at that gym every day, they hit the gym, body is like boom banging, right? Their body is muscles and they look like an action figure. The guys who look like that, but when you see, they don't have good discipline in other aspects of their life. Let's say their financial discipline is very, very weak and they spend like crazy money, ridiculous, on stupid stuff. and they don't have their emergency fund for 6 months emergency fund. But they're in the gym, so they have that self-discipline and one-dimensional self-discipline, but not universal self-discipline. I promise you anything. If you never show up at this live ever again and you're trying to make it, is not, it's who you know, it's knowing something, who you know, and it's universal self-discipline. Universal self-discipline is not I go to the gym and I look good. It is I am disciplined in everything that I touch, period. That means you may have a routine where you wake up and go to bed. Certain times of the day that you're up, certain time of the day you go to bed. That routine doesn't get broken just because you meet a new girl. New girl is hot and woof, you don't break that routine. So when I dated these really successful rich men, when I showed up and I think I'm cute and hot and pretty, do you know what? If their wake up time was 5:30 to do blah blah blah, I don't know, whatever it is they had to do, guess what? Their wake up time was still 5:30. It was 5:30 whether I was there in their life. It was 5:30 when I was at my house. It was 5:30, and whatever they were doing, if it was checking emails, if it was going to the gym, if it was blending their protein shake, that was getting done whether I was in their house in that moment or whether I was at my house. It didn't matter what was going on. If their discipline was like that, when they had their discipline extended to their health, so they were all fit, meaning they were not gluttonous, they were not like overeating. And I'm saying that as a person who struggles with eating. So I'm not like saying anything to shame anybody. My struggle too. But I'm telling you, the guys that were overly wealthy and overly successful, like made tons of money, never had to worry about a penny. Didn't like think, oh man, like do I have enough this month? I'm talking, these dudes had money. They get up, fly in a minute. These dudes have done that. Like I go out of town to go. I went to Puerto Rico. Dude was like, oh, you're in Puerto Rico? Just showed up the next day because he could. Oh, I had to take a day off. I'm gonna come over there with you. Okay. Showed up the next day. These are dudes who show up out of the country. Oh, you're over here. Oh, I come. Boom, they go. So they have the capacity to do that. These are people who, on their day to day, they wake up their certain time. When it's time to go to bed, it's time to go to bed. Like the rest of the world is partying, doing whatever. They're disciplined people. So their discipline is not occasional, it's consistent. They're mostly like, I wake up at a certain time. I do such and such. I work out every day. 5 days a week they go to the gym. They have their time where they're working and they're focused. When they're focused on work, they'll normally tell me like, hey, I need my thinking time right now. I've been told that. From guys who are really successful. They'd be like, hey, I have some deadlines and I have some high pressure thing right now. I cannot be with you right now. I need to focus. So I'm going to be not talking to you for this 1.5 day. I need to get this stuff done. I'm going to nail it down and then we're going to talk. But let me get this done. And they'll disappear and they'll do their little work. Do you see what I'm saying? They have that structure. And then when a girl shows up and she's so cute and pretty, they don't fall into the laying in the bed with her all day thing. And they're also not led by their physical intimate acts. So they end up on a consistent basis. They don't end up with children out of wedlock. They don't end up with like children out of wedlock. Why? Because they don't put their seed everywhere. It is what it is. That's part of their legacy, is like they need to make sure they choose a woman. They're going to put the seed in the woman. They intended on putting the seed in that woman. It wasn't an accident. So they're okay that they did that. Or like, no, I don't want to be with her. I'm not going to put my seed in her. So they're super intentional about everything. They're super disciplined about everything. And there's no breaking in those chains with that. That is how they live. Like my dad is very like, he grew up at a time where there's far more racism. But I can tell the way my dad is disciplined that my dad would have been that too. Like he came up in an era where obviously Black people hardly could even get in school and stuff. It is a different era. But I will say, from what I observed from him, he, even in his old age, is very like meticulous, very neat. He's disciplined. He's a military guy. He puts on like nice slacks and a shirt, when he goes to the store. He doesn't have this thing where, how he, like, where did I go the last couple of days and I saw somebody show up? I went to eat dinner, y'all. I went to eat dinner, and a young lady and two young ladies showed up with their like hairnet on their head. And I'm like, why are we doing this? I said to myself, why are we doing this? Why are we showing up? Like, I don't even go to the gym like that. I don't go to the gym like that. Why is she showing up with her hairnet on at the restaurant? Even to pick up food, even if it's for takeout. Why is she showing up like that? Why didn't she take the hairnet out of her head? Or, send somebody to go get the food. I say all that to say, these guys, they have a lot of respect in how they look. They show up, they look right and proper for every occasion. So you never see them show up dressed inappropriately for a setting, whatever setting they're in. They are appropriately dressed. They know how to carry themselves. They know how to have those conversations that are warm and engaging, but also like mentally like business oriented. They are just like that, and there's discipline throughout their entire life. Food, gym is not the last thing. They know what they put in their body matters. They know how they use their body active wise matters, and they also have some level of sexual discipline. And I say that not because they can't have a lot of wild sex, because they could. They have sexual discipline, and they think about where they're putting their seed. They don't just sprinkle it everywhere. That's something that they do because that hits them in the pocket. That hits their money. If they got child support in 3 different places, their money is automatically not able to do what they planned for their business or their this or their that. So that's how they have wealth. It's partially how is because they were strategic. Like, okay, this woman I want to build with, this woman I want to build, I want to play with her. And so they don't put a seed in that girl. They didn't intend on building with her, and they don't try to fiddle around any other way with that girl. That's what I mean. Those are the guys that became super rich and wealthy, successful. Those guys. I see it over and over again, and now I can tell. I can tell. So now let's roll it back to if I go on a date now. If I go on a date now and I see, look at how it rolls back. If I go on a date now and then I show up and all of a sudden the guy's behavior is like, let's say they have a regular job, but then they will like just want to hang out with me every day, all day. Look at the difference. Do you guys see that? Now that I've told you what the super rich, successful guy acts like every day, if I have a guy who suddenly just like wants to call out, work sick, and just be with me every day or something, I work from home, right? So they want to just come over here and be at the house with me every day. Oh, I'm gonna call it sick for like 3 or 4 days. I immediately know, without thinking much, this is never gonna be my man. I gotta get rid of him. Y'all see? Hope y'all listening. This is serious stuff. I can see that they don't have that structure. Without asking even a question, I could see the difference in the two types. There's a type that's like self-discipline and structure, and then there's a type that as soon as a woman walks into their life, everything unravels and their life unravels into chaos because they begin this idolatrous relationship. Oh, I revolve around her now, versus continuing to have like importance around things. And there's a difference between giving her some time and then unraveling around her, right? I can see the difference. It's good to give people time. It's bad to unravel your whole life around a person. Like the whole thing just falls apart because you're focusing on them. That's not good. That's actually idolatrous, more likely than not. So you can see, and maybe how they're spending money. Maybe their heart wants to spend money on you. Their heart wants to do it, and they try to spend, but then their money is super tight. Like 3 weeks later, you could see like their tension. They're starting to get tense because their money is super tight. It's because lack of planning and then breaking their budget and doing like that's actually not self-discipline. So that makes me worried. If a guy is spending so much money, and I can see he's probably going to be tight, and then a couple weeks later I see he's tight, that's not impressive to me because I'm worried for him. So if I'm worried for him, I don't feel the freedom in the money that he spent, even on me, Does that make sense? So I don't want him to do that. I don't want to blow all this money on me, and at the end of the month you can't make rent. I'm scared for you. I'm worried for you, and I actually can't enjoy you spending it on me now anyway. So I don't want you to spend it. Does that make sense? I look at that. I can feel that. I can feel the difference in those two things. That makes me feel unstable and gives me anxiety. Because me, if I don't have the money, I don't spend the money. The end. I don't have it, don't spend it. No, don't put it on credit. Like if I don't have it, don't spend it. Like that. If I see that he doesn't have it, but then will spend it, I suddenly fear his headship over me. Do you guys see the difference? If my dad doesn't have the money, he also doesn't spend the money. If my dad's not super rich, but I know that even in my own father, I know, oh, he doesn't have it, he's not spending it. He's gonna figure out something else. He's gonna figure it out properly. But if he doesn't have it, he's not going crazy, and then all of a sudden doesn't have. I can feel a sense of instability when I see that. Then I'm like, oh, I pulled back. Oh, that's not my man. Can't do. Can't do. That scares me. That scares me because then they got the bank account. They go crazy. Then what? Then when all the money's gone, then what? That's a problem. You guys see the difference? So that's what I'm saying. Hopefully y'all get what I'm saying. That's like serious stuff. So I don't know if people can. I actually can see the difference. I mean, I think it's a blessing and a curse. I've dated all these people, so now I can see the difference. I can immediately, without even, I don't even say anything. I don't ask any questions at all. I don't ask how much do you make. I don't even ask these questions. I don't ask how much do you make. I don't ask anything. I can just sense the difference. I sense the difference. Period. I can feel the lack of discipline within 2 days. I can feel if someone is like doesn't have a structure. I can feel that almost immediately. And then if they're breaking the structure that they have, then I'm like, okay, this is their trend. They break structure. That typically puts a man in a position where he doesn't meet his obligation or his personal goals. If they break their discipline all the time, they generally don't make their personal goals. So that's the same person that says, I want to be a millionaire one day, but then they never get there. That's how that happens, is because even if they have a plan, they keep breaking the structure, so they cannot make it to the end of the road on it. That's why, and being a millionaire is not even important. It's just an example. It's not important at all to me. Does that make sense? Anywho, yeah. Let's see what we have here. But. Somebody said, sometimes I wonder, this is a comment from YouTube. Sometimes I wonder what qualifies as basic education subjects back in Abraham's day. I mean, when you think about it, a lot of them, like they did military stuff back then, carpentry kind of work back then, um, work in the fields and stuff. What else did they do back then? Like, I think things were so much about like hunting and gathering, fishermen and things like that. I think because people were like doing like the hunting and gathering, um I think things were more physical, but I mean on a bright note, they were probably some beautiful looking men. And think about that, like the DNA was super strong back then, right? Because Adam and Eve started out as perfect. Of the sin came, so like people were probably tall, beautiful, muscular, perfect, statuesque, whatever you want to call it. They probably were that way for like some decades, hundreds of years before people started falling off. So, um, let's see. Um, I think so. There's a question about rest on the Sabbath. Um, Here's what I think about resting on the Sabbath. It's something like I mentioned yesterday. There was a lady who got online and she had posted one day that she was so tired. She just needed some rest. She was going to take 3 days off, and this lady was a young woman. I think she might have been like 40. A young woman. Maybe she was 50, but she was a young, vibrant woman, a business owner. She went home and she died in her sleep, I believe. And it's super, super sad. So we're commanded to rest, you know, Even God put the world together and the man together and the animals and all these things. He put all that together and then had a day of rest, also showing us that we should be taking a day of rest. And our day of rest also should be like a day, like also we should be worshiping God as well too, right? But um I actually used to work with a man who was like an Orthodox Jew, and I found it interesting. I actually spent a lot of time speaking to him. At the time, I wasn't saved, so I didn't really speak specifically religion, but he did share parts of his world with me. And one thing that I did know is that on Fridays, you know, he was home early enough. So by sundown and all that, he was home early enough. I know Sunday was a very special day for him, all of that kind of good thing. And what I felt from him in his conversation is that he worked properly, you know, on his work days. And I thought it was a way of saying, look, we have structure in this household. Like, I think it was good for families. You're getting home early enough on Friday, being with family time, you know, having Sunday, having being able to properly worship the Lord on Sunday. I think there is something to like having Sunday downtime. I think there's something to that. That's what I think. I think there's definitely something to that. I think it's useful. Um, Rest back in the day of the Genesis and rest now. I mean, I don't think there's much difference between then and now. Like, we keep ourselves so super busy. We don't actually have to rest on Sunday. Like, we keep things, we book our things and plan work on Sundays and all of that. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, I didn't actually rest today. But at the end of the day, you know, God was still doing miracles on Sunday. That's still true. So, you know, I was doing content related things. You know, I call this church related things, even if it's not actually church, I still call this church related things. So, yeah, still brings glory to God. So I don't think there's much difference between the rest back in 2,000 years ago and the rest now. I mean, I think now we need to be actually taking our rest on Sunday. And even though we get, some of us get the day off on Sunday, I don't know if we really spend time with the Lord really regularly like we should. Does that make sense? Like we do, but do we really do like we should? Because I can even tell you right now, I'm kind of like doing so many things that like part of me just wants that lay down time and just talk to the Lord time. But I'm looking at my free time like I gotta get this done, I gotta get that done. I'm just trying to move and get stuff done. And but I also just want that time, like that quiet time with God. And I just look at my schedule. I'm like, look, Monday's coming. I only got this much time. I'm gonna keep going. You know, I barely got to the gym today, but I got there. So at least we got it done. It's because I already missed 2 days of the gym earlier this week. So I was like, nope, we going, even if we go for a little while. Um, let's see. Lyra, hey, hey. We're doing Ask Me Anything. And I just got what looks like my last question. I don't have any other questions in the chat here. I hit all my questions. Y'all got any other questions? Pop them in the chat. But yeah, that was deep. That was deep. Ask me anything. That was deep. Hopefully it helps somebody because, I mean, I just have my perspective. Like I said, you know, there's something to, I say all that stuff to say, like at the end of the day, really what's most important is that we have a relationship with God. All the rest of the stuff really doesn't matter. I mean, I was reading today that Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank was talking about entrepreneurship, and he was saying, like, basically, like, having that willingness to give up everything so that you can, like, hit, right? And, is he saying something that is, like, somewhat true in that there's a trade off? Yeah, I think there's a trade off. I think when you're working hard, you're trade off. You're losing time with friends and family. Yeah, for sure. But I think we have to be careful with those trade offs. I think we have to be careful what we come into agreement with. And sometimes, you know, if it's like, okay, I'm living a more simple life because I want to make sure that I have time for God, and maybe you got a family and you're like, family's my first ministry. I got to give time to that. Then it is what it is. I think at the end of the day, if you make all that success, I say all that to say this, at the end of the day, if you make all that success, but that's your personal plan, but that's not how God defined your success. If God didn't define it that way, you know, you're probably not going to be at peace even though you have it. That's the thing that I think gets missed in all of this topic. Does that make sense? So like to actually like put it all the way together, if you are putting all the effort into all the like all of those things I was discussing and you do hit and like, oh wow, I got my money, I got my this, got my that. At the end of the day, what profits a man if he gains the whole world and loses his soul? At the same time, so I think we have to be careful what we trade off. You know, so we're dealing with things of life. Um, you can't compromise your health. You know, that's not good. You know, you can't compromise with God's plan because that's not good. Because then if you even if you get it, when you get it but you don't have peace, what do you have? You know, you have some things but you don't have everything. So it's like it's complicated, but it's not complicated. Does that make sense? Hmm. Let me know if you guys have questions. Questions. Be sure to like the stream, share it, like it, share it, subscribe, all the good things. Bum. Let's see what you got in here. Let me know if you guys have questions. I suppose I could wrap up. I think I could wrap up. Let me know. 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 If you guys have questions, pop them in the chat. Pop them in the chat. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think at the end of the day, like I have a couple of meetings this week, and I'm like, I wonder where that's gonna go. Does that make sense? That's why I like the whole move to Dallas is in my head is like a weight right now, because at the same time, I'm having meetings this week that I know are more Atlanta related. I have a couple of meetings this week that are more Atlanta related. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? You know what I mean? So I have to be cautious because, like, I can already see in this season there could be things that get presented that in a worldly sense look like a good move, maybe a good financial move or something, right? That happens, right? But then I have to also think about where does my heart feel like according to like the plans of God, where do I feel like God is taking me right now? Because everything isn't money. Do you know what I'm saying? Everything's not money. It's like, where does God want me next? But I have a feeling that like I have a meeting tomorrow and I've got a couple of other meetings this week, and I don't know what's gonna come of that, but I know stuff can come from it. Atlanta related stuff can come from it, right? So it's something that I'm thinking about. Like, okay, if something comes from it, then what? What next? I'm kind of having to think about it now, um, because we don't always control when opportunities come. Does that make sense? Sometimes that it's coming. So, and this happens too. Sometimes when God is trying to do something, sometimes some things will come at the same time, and then you have a choice of what you want to do. And that's why I say this is a like interesting kind of time. Somebody was like, "Oh, what's your greatest stressor or whatever?" And like making this decision right here, because I'm either gonna go this way or that way, and I don't, you know what I'm saying? I'm kind of like thinking about it, and um, that's all I'm saying. Sometimes it's you can end up getting an opportunity that gives you like all the money in the world. At the same time, if it's where you're at isn't where God wants you right now in this season, then you can have all the money in the world and lose your peace at the same time. Does that make sense? So it's something to think about. So I say all that to say, we were talking about how you can see a man, how you like how you deconstruct a successful man. We were kind of talking about that, how you deconstruct that, and then you can see from the bottom bones when a man's gonna give you anxiety because you don't feel a sense of stability. There is a risk when you feel like there's not stability, but stability doesn't have to mean that a man is constantly obsessed with mammon. Does that make sense? They both at the same time can hold weight. Where, okay, a man is stable, but he's not led by mammon. He could be stable and not super duper rich. He could be stable and be okay and not like trade off his family and his lifestyle to be stable. They could have that, and give a woman peace and happiness and joy. Does that make sense? So sometimes we have to just lean into God and say, God, what do you want for me right now? Because sometimes the world's going to like show you, open up a pretty package and show you this. Don't you want this? But if God has you in a different season right now, then it kind of doesn't matter what the world's showing you. It doesn't have to make sense to the everyday eye. It only has to make sense to you and God. That's the thing that like I do feel like I'm in that kind of a weird season where I feel like opportunities are popping off, different things, lucrative, like, but then like, does God want me right there, right now? Or do I need to try to do this other thing that's not popping off right now in the natural, but it's what God wants for me? So that is the long game. And even if it doesn't look like the others, this is actually the long game. I want to figure out like where God has me and what God wants me to do. So I'm just kind of easing my way through it and trying to be thoughtful. I've been trying to be thoughtful about it. We'll see. Does that make sense? And I think that's something that guys go through a lot too. Is but unfortunately, sometimes men will put their value on how much money they make instead of other things, instead of how God sees them. Sometimes that happens. So I think, is it important to have some stability? Yes. Is it important to put your value in that? No. See, there's a difference. Stability is important. That's part of being of having headship, is being able to offer something. That's stability. But then there's this other side of it that there's another side of it that you can offer stability without falling out of alignment with what God wants for your life. So there is a balance there. And having everything, ask all the rich people when they have everything, but then they feel that they want to unalive themselves, kind of thing. That is because they chose that. And although they had all the discipline and structure, it wasn't all the things that they had were nice, but that's not what God had for them. So they weren't being led by their Lord and Savior in what they did. And so something was off. Even if everything looked good on paper, something was off in their spirit. That also matters. So it means you can have everything and not have your peace. In the natural, you can have everything on paper and everybody around you will be wild, but you can also not have your peace. That is a stiff price to pay. Not to say that like, it's bad to have money either. Like, let's be honest. Who wants to be broke? Nobody. Says no one. So yeah, you feel me on that one? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's weird. Um, so I've been like in this season going a little bit slower with some of these like a bigger decision things. I've been trying to go a little bit slow, and I've been going a little bit more slow. I've been like, if I'm going to do something fast, I want to learn these little things that I'm learning, but I want to go slow on these other things. So I'm being a little bit meticulous right now. I don't want to miss out on anything, but I don't want to be guided by mammon, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Because it's easy to be like pulled by that. So I don't want to be guided by that. So I'm being a little bit like one thing at a time, if that makes any sense. Yep, I understand. I understand. Mm-mm. All right, guys. I'm not particularly sleepy, but I'm gonna go upstairs and I'm gonna look at my subscription for my project that I'm working on, and I want to see. I think I may want to make my final decision tonight on that, and then go to bed. So and that'll take me a little bit. I can do that before I go to sleep. Guys, make sure you guys don't have any other questions. You guys were fun tonight. You guys offered a lot of badges tonight. That's crazy. Crazy good. Okay, guys. Okay, guys. Okay, guys. Well, I don't know if I'm gonna go live again until Wednesday, because I have a lot going on this week. I'm trying to remember, when did I say I was gonna release some new content? I've got some content I'm gonna post tomorrow, and then the next day, um, I'll have to think about it. I need to think about the next content I'm gonna release. I need to think about that. So I'll think about that before I go to bed tonight, and try to plan out my content for the week before I go to bed. Okay, guys. Hope you guys have a good night. I'll probably go live if I don't get a chance to go live Monday or Tuesday. I think I'll probably go live on Wednesday or Thursday. I'll probably go live on Wednesday. I'm guessing Wednesday. So I'll see you guys soon. Hopefully, get your questions together. If you guys have like podcast questions, we'll add that. We can add that to Ask Me Anything too, because that was fun. Maybe by Wednesday, I'll have some more updates on new things I've learned. Like I said, I want to bring you guys along, but kind of some of it goes slow, and then I think you might get bored. You know, some of it is going really slow, or like I think I can do something while I'm on the phone with you guys, but then it ends up taking way longer. And I'm like, I'm glad I didn't try to go live and do that at the same time. They would have got bored. It's just, I'm over here doing all this and I'm not really focusing. So I'm trying to figure out how I can plan out how to tell you guys about it. And maybe I need to just do the reflections like I did today. Because sometimes, it would have never worked today. I didn't know how long it was going to take to cut those videos. I was going to actually go live and cut everything while you guys were on the phone, while you guys and put it in the background. Like, put the computer on and then just put it on the background on green screen and let you guys see what I was doing. I was going to do that today. But then I was like, I don't know how long this is going to take. And then I was super surprised that it took 8 hours. I was like, okay, that I can't do. I can never do that way. So I'm gonna learn. I'm trying to figure out what I can actually show y'all versus, and maybe I've got to go through the whole process a couple of times, and then I'd be like, okay, these things I can do quickly so I can show y'all and then talk. Because otherwise, it's not fun if I'm, you know, thinking something's gonna happen and then it's a 7 hour process. I'm thinking, oh, I thought that was gonna be like 15 minutes, and it takes 8 hours. Like, that's not gonna work. So I could try a work along or by like, yeah. I'm gonna see if I can do that. Actually, I think I'm trying to figure out how to do a work along that's like little things at a time. Does that make sense? Like, okay, if you want to open a YouTube, how do you do it? Just do something that I can do quickly and show you versus something that takes an unusual amount of time. Does that make sense? Because what I did today took an unusual amount of time. I was like, oh man. Like, I want to cut videos in front of y'all, but I want to cut like a short video where I have all of my stuff already pre-prepped. So like, you know how I do my videos, and then what I have is I do like, in the beginning of my video you see a logo, and then at the end of my video you see like a little "you can sew here," and then there's like another logo. So I have to take the meat of it. I've got to add a logo. I've got to add a little goodbye thing. I've got to add another logo, and then I've got to add music. If I've got all those little pieces prepped and on the side, then I probably can go fast enough, just assemble it in front of you guys. So I'll probably do something like that soon, where I'm making a video for you guys in front of you so you can see how to do it, but it's gonna be on the green screen behind me, but I'll be on my computer doing it. But you'll see like me, there'll be a me that's like this small, about right here, and then you'll see the whole screen. And when I was talking today about all the video and the audio roadways, you'll be able to see it on this back of me on the screen. So my body will not be this big. My body will take up this much of the camera, and the rest of this will be all of the video on a green screen. So I'll probably do one of those soon, but I'm just trying to figure out, should I open another YouTube to do it over there? Because one thing I've learned is that people who want to learn technology are not trying to learn about God. It's two different audiences, but some of y'all probably from here would want to learn about it. So I might just have to open up another YouTube, and then you guys will miss it if I do that. You see the dilemma. If I open another YouTube, you guys are not on there, and then you miss it. Or I need to go live here and say, hey, come over to this YouTube. I'm about to go live over here and do it. Then you guys come in the other one and watch. So we'll see. We'll figure something out. But I've got some logistics issues to get the fam. Does that make sense? If I do it over here, then technology people aren't going to see it. If I go do it over there, then people from this side who want to see technology haven't gotten an invite. They're like left out of the whole party. So I got to figure out how to bring everybody in. So maybe I'll just open a technology channel first with you guys on the thing while I click the buttons. Then when I have it open, I'll say, okay, tomorrow I'll go live and I'll do a video in front of you guys. Then everybody will be on the same page. You'll see the name of the channel. You'll know where it's at. You go subscribe. And then the next day at a certain time, I'll be like, okay, today I'm doing the video. That's what I should do. Ding, 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 ding. So look forward to that. That's coming soon. I think, what day are we on right now? June 30th. By the end of the month, by the end of July, I'll do that. That's the plan, because I want to go ahead and map out a few things for before the end of the summer, and that's one of them. Good deal. Y'all pop in the chat if you're gonna join the technology channel, just so I have an idea of who's gonna be on there and what y'all want to learn. Let me know. Like if you guys want to learn how to cut a video, like from scratch. Now I'm not talking about AI cutting. I'm talking about the hardcore stuff. If you guys want to see how you add music and all that, let me know. Pop it in the chat if you guys want to see that. Let me know. I'm curious if y'all are interested, because most people will be like, oh no, people that are here for this are not going to be interested in that. But I'm a person, if somebody's going to give some free game, you better give me that free game. Pop it in the chat, free game, if you want the free game. Let me know. Pop it in the chat. If I see free game, then I know you guys do want it. Okay, I see YouTube. YouTube is saying free game. Anybody else want free game? TikTok, y'all want free game, or y'all just over here chilling? Let me know. If y'all want free game, I want to know who wants it. Because maybe it's just a YouTube thing. Y'all better get on this free game. Yeah, I see free game on YouTube. TikTok didn't say anything. Maybe TikTok's not down with it. Maybe they're not interested. Maybe they just want to like chit chat and that's it. People are different. I'm always trying to get the free game because y'all, all this money I pay for schools, I want to get as much free game as possible. As much as I can. I know everything's not free. I know it's not free, but one thing I know is I know how to do basic equipment, basic, like bare bones. If you don't have a lot of money, I know how to make this thing work. Because, you know, Mr. Michael, you know, I traveled a lot. So when I had to travel, at one time, I traveled with my whole set from Dallas to Atlanta. And then when I started traveling, I traveled all the way to Miami with my set. And I went live in Miami. But then at a certain point, I realized that traveling with my whole set, even though it's a portable mobile set, I realized it was just too much. And I was like, I think after I did Miami, I was like, I'm not going to travel with my set anymore. I'm not doing it anymore. So you remember when I went to New York all those times? I was like, we're not doing it. For New York, I would do these little mics. I would do my cell phone, and I would do a ring light. I would keep it simple. Every time I went to New York, I was like, nope, I'm not doing all that. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm doing it simple, 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 and that worked for me. So, and after that, I just said, from traveling, whenever I do like a quick hit, I'm just gonna travel with my basic set, my ring light, which is not a lot of stuff, my ring light, my cell phone, portable cell phone holder, this tripod, my little mini tripod, my little mini ring light, my lavalier mics, and my cell phones. That's it. Like that's my minimalist set, and believe it or not, it allows you to go live anywhere real quick. It's simple. It's simple. It's really pretty cheap, you know. So I think that's the minimalist that people need. The only thing is if you're outside, your mics might need to be like, if you don't have a lavalier and you're outside, you might need something if you're outside. If you're inside, you don't actually need it. I don't think you need it. I've kind of worked with this for a while now, and the only thing I can tell you is my outdoor gets really noisy because we're by the airport. I think it's very hard to drown out the noise outside. Even with these mics, it's hard to drown that noise out. So I'm not really. I mean, I could drown it out with video editing with like noise reduction, but that's just a lot of manual labor. So I don't know. It's one of the reasons why I'm like, man. I mean, I even went down to the park down the street to go try to go live from down the street. It was still noisy, and in the summer, I like to go live outside. I love to go live outside, but it's too loud over here. So last time I went live outside, people were like, it's so noisy," and I was like, "Oh, this is not gonna work. It's not gonna work." And I've already tried last summer. I tried to go to the park down the street. It was still too loud. I was like, it is too loud outside over here. So I'll have to wait till I'm back in Dallas and just be careful about my place that I get in Dallas. Be careful about that. Anywho's, I'm about to hop off, y'all. Y'all have a good night, everybody. Have a good night. Have a good night. Have a good night. I think I'll go live either Wednesday or Thursday. Definitely by the end of the week, I'll be live again. And I hope that I have some interesting new technology updates. And I'm really not trying to make this into a technology channel. So I probably need to get my YouTube open for technology soon, because this is not my technology channel. This is just how I work. I got all kind of stuff going on every day. Bye YouTube. Bye TikTok. Bye everybody.